This is RAI, the Italian radio and television network. This program is being broadcast in English language to our listeners in North America. And here is RAI International's newscast from Italy.
Hello, here are the main points of today's news. Italy crashed out from the European Football Championships despite beating Bulgaria 2-1 on Tuesday. Iraqi authorities say they are taking a death threat to the interim Iraqi Prime Minister very seriously. And the Italian government has said it will guarantee a short-term loan for debt-ridden flagship carrier Alitalia. Italy crashed out from the European Football Championships despite beating Bulgaria 2-1 Tuesday night on Antonio Cassano's goal in second-half injury time. Italy, which lost to France in the final 4 years ago, finished the first round with 5 points after 2 draws and Tuesday's win, but wound up in third place in Group C behind Sweden and Denmark, which had identical records but better goal differences following their 2-2 draw Tuesday in Porto. Italy became the first team eliminated from the tournament without a loss since group play began in 1980. Italy's early exit from Euro 2004 is widely expected to cost veteran coach Giovanni Trapattoni his job, with reports suggesting former Juventus coach Marcello Lippi will be named as the new Italian national boss on Friday. Lippi, who quit Juventus in May, is set to sign a 2-year contract. The Italian Football Federation will hold a meeting on Friday where an announcement is set to be made. A South Korean hostage threatened with execution in Iraq was beheaded by Islamist militants on Tuesday. The body of translator Kim Sun-il, 33, was found on the road between Baghdad and Fallujah. Mr. Kim was working for a security company supplying the US military when he was abducted last week. South Korea rejected demands from the Al-Qaeda-linked kidnappers that it cancel plans to deploy 3,000 troops to northern Iraq. In the latest footage aired on Arabic news station Al Jazeera, Mr. Kim was shown kneeling on the ground in front of 5 masked men. The part of the tape broadcast did not show him dead, but the presenter said Mr. Kim had been beheaded. Seoul has insisted it will go ahead with plans to deploy 3,000 troops to northern Iraq to add to a force of 600 already in the country. Not all South Korean civilians except essential personnel were to be evacuated, the foreign ministry said. Only about 22 South Korean civilians are still thought to be in Iraq. Meanwhile, the Iraqi authorities say they are taking a death threat to the interim Iraqi Prime Minister very seriously. The threat to Iyad Alawi came in audio form on an Islamic website and was purported to be from an Al-Qaeda leader, Abu Musab al-Zakawi. An official in the Iraqi government said security needed to be strengthened before it takes over power on June 30th. The Italian government said Tuesday that it would guarantee a short-term loan for debt-ridden flagship carrier Alitalia, so it would have the funds to pull itself through a financial crisis that has pushed it to the brink of bankruptcy. Alitalia and the government would not give further details, but reports have suggested the loan will be for about 400 million euros. The loan will give Alitalia, which posted a loss of 511 million euros last year, the money it needs to begin carrying out a restructuring plan that management says will return the airline to profitability in 2 years. A final version of the plan, with details on how many employees will be dismissed, will be ready by the end of July. The plan includes splitting flight operations and ground services into separate units and increasing capital. With the government guarantee in hand, Alitalia can begin to pull together a group of banks that will lend it the money. The next step will be to secure the approval of the European Union, which can block loans and other types of financing it considers to be illegal state aid. EU laws allow governments to grant or guarantee temporary loans to keep financially troubled companies funded while they restructure. The Italian government, which owns 62% of Alitalia, and other shareholders will meet on Monday to approve its 2003 results. On June the 11th, Deloitte Touche, Alitalia's auditor, said it could not approve the company's results until the loan was secured and details of the restructuring plan were made public. Deputy Prime Minister Gianfranco Fini held talks with Premier Silvio Berlusconi in Rome on Tuesday, with many political commentators suggesting the four parties in the governing Conservative coalition are on the verge of a showdown. Mr. Fini, leader of the right-wing National Alliance, has been increasingly vocal in his criticism of Economy Minister Giulio Tremonti, a member of the Prime Minister's Forza Italia party. Mr. Fini has also lamented what he says is the disproportionate say in policy-making given to the Federalist Northern League. The National Alliance's complaints have been backed up by the centrist UDC party, effectively splitting the coalition in two. Italy's largest and most influential business lobby, Confindustria, on Wednesday cut its 2004 growth forecast for the Eurozone's third largest economy and called on the government to take urgent measures to cut the budget deficit. Confindustria predicted that Italy's gross domestic product will rise by 1.3% this year, down from a previous forecast of 1.6% in December. The government's forecast stands at 1.2%. Confindustria also predicted that Italy's 2004 budget deficit could rise above the European Union's 3% of GDP limit unless the government took measures to cut the deficit. Without corrective measures, the deficit would rise to 3.5% of GDP in 2004, largely due to higher current spending, said Confindustria. The Italian government has forecast that it will stay just below the EU's deficit ceiling at 2.9% of GDP. The EU deficit rules underpinning the euro were suspended last year after Germany and France breached them. But the business lobby said that due to its huge debt, Italy can't afford to do the same. At 106% of GDP, Italy has the highest debt in Europe, and ratings agency Standard & Poor's has warned that it may cut the country's sovereign ratings unless the government takes steps to cut the deficit and debt. The EU, which has forecast a deficit of 3.2% of GDP for Italy, has given the Italian government until July the 5th to explain how it plans to keep the deficit below the ceiling. Anti-Mafia police in southern Italy have placed more than 120 suspected mob members under investigation, following months of investigations into multi-million euro public works tenders and construction contracts in Puglia. A police spokesman said 123 men belonging to two of the region's most powerful crime clans have been placed under investigation. Investigators say the two criminal organizations are among the most dangerous in Italy because they have huge supplies of weapons and money thanks to their involvement in international drugs and arms trafficking networks. Mystery continues to surround the disappearance of the wife of a construction millionaire who was grabbed outside the family villa in northern Italy, bundled into a car and driven away. Anna Maria Valdarta, 74, was on her way to church when four foreign-looking men, unknown to the village of Silvano Pietra, seized her. The village is close to the junction of two motorways, and by the time Franco Valdarta discovered his wife was missing and raised the alarm, she could have been more than 90 miles away. Mr. Valdarta found a crumpled note inside the villa's grounds, demanding, in erratic Italian, the payment of 1.25 million euros, and threatening his wife's death if he did not pay up. Police have refused to confirm any details, including the rumour that Mrs. Valdarta was seized by the Russian mafia. The Valdarta family has lived in the village of some 700 people for at least half a century. They were tempting targets, conspicuously rich thanks to the construction business founded by Mr. Valdarta after the Second World War. The relatively low level of the ransom demanded, given the family's enormous wealth, has led some to believe that the kidnappers may be novices, meaning Mrs. Valdarta's life could be in even more peril. Over 5,000 executions were carried out worldwide in 2003, a figure which is higher than 2002, but only because China is listed for the first time, according to the annual report on the death penalty by the Italian organisation Hands Off Cain. According to the report, presented in Rome on Wednesday morning, 133 countries have now renounced the death penalty. Russia has placed a moratorium on executions and has committed itself to abolishing capital punishment. Film directors Michelangelo Antonioni, Abel Ferrara and Pupi Avati, and composer Luis Enriquez Bacalov are among the winners of the coveted Ennio Flaiano Award for 2004. Actors Gabriele Ferzetti and Valeria Valeri have obtained the award for theatre, and veteran journalist Gianni Minà for television. A special career award also went to TV showman Mike Bongiorno, 80 years old and still working. The award ceremony will be held Sunday, July the 11th in the Adriatic coastal resort of Pescara. And here we end this news summary. From all of us here in Rome, thank you for listening, and goodbye.
And you have just heard RAI International's newscast from Italy.
Il tempo scivola come una mosca, come una favola, senza una nuvola il sole mi carica, mentre mi illumina è sempre domenica, sempre domenica è sempre domenica, sempre domenica è sempre domenica. Dovrei fare la spesa ma proprio non mi va, dovrei pulire casa ma proprio non mi va, pensare alla carriera ma proprio non mi va, e darmi una calmata ma proprio non mi va, voglio vivere in discesa senza gravità, godermi la giornata e dopo si vedrà, svegliarmi quando è sera con la libertà di fare quello che mi fa. Buongiorno a tutto il mondo, mi guardo intorno e sembra un sogno, è mezzogiorno, non ho più sonno, in fondo di che ho bisogno, vedo troppe facce tristi vicino a me, tanti sguardi spenti e non so perché, proprio oggi che mi sento come un re, e che sembra bello tutto ciò che c'è, ma è così, non esistono più lunedì, non ci sono più neanche i martedì, cancello pure tutti i mercoledì, che dal calendario anche giovedì, e non voglio più nemmeno i venerdì, e il sabato, quello sì, quello sì. Sempre domenica e il tempo scivola come una musica, come una favola, senza una nuvola il sole mi carica, mentre mi illumina è sempre domenica, sempre domenica, sempre